This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics. This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez. Welcome to Uncensored. We're going to continue with the profiling series, and I wanted to talk about a friend of mine. This is a guy that you guys all know and love, Huero Shy. Huero Shy was my real friend, and I couldn't say that any more sincerely. And this is a guy that made you feel like you were a brother. And there were a few of those guys. Back when I became a Cardinal in 1985 in Folsom, Huero Shy was one of the guys responsible for sponsoring me. In fact, he had Sloppy Corwin Elmore sponsor me, and Black Dan Barella sponsor Negro Bialba. And I've spoken about all these gentlemen in past videos, but I've never really went in depth about Huero Shy. I had heard about him for years. Like, he was the hero of our hood, the only Mexican Mafia member from Artesia that was a made carnal. And back in this time, it was spoken about in hushed undertones and whispers. Like, you didn't say M out loud. You didn't say Mexican Mafia. In fact, they weren't even supposed to acknowledge its existence at the time. That was the Mafia then. But we're talking about the Edgar generation now, so it's a whole different thing. So, and I know you guys get what I mean by the Edgar generation, like members allowing Sureños to kill members, paying for passes for bad paperwork or whatever, right? There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on in today's Mafia that just wasn't Shy's get down. And he just was a different caliber of individual. Good man. And I know that's contradictory. It's contradictory to a lot of people. Like, how can a man responsible for so much mayhem and murder be considered a good man? Well, he was a good man. He was my friend. I remember in 1985 when they were grooming me, him and Black Dan would pull me into a cell. Black Dan Barella, Daniel Barella from White Fence, and he would give me haircuts. This is a time when we could go into other cells. You'd ask the cop to let you go into the cell. They give you a haircut, and before all the restrictive shoe stuff. This was in Shoe 2 in Folsom State Prison in one building, and Black Dan would groom me, and Shy was next door, and we would talk, and we would go in the yard, and we would play pinochle, and we would take laps of the yard. One funny story I remember distinctly. It's me, Black Dan Barella, Sammy Bialba, and in Shoe 2, behind one building, there's a retaining wall that goes up to the industries, and when it rains, there's loose gravel, and this deteriorated granite rolls down the hill and falls into our yard. And there was a big piece of granite about this big, just a huge rock, and it was rough. And I picked it up, and I said, man, this would be good for sharpening knives. And he said, check this out. He got this evil little glint in his eye when he had this joking manner about him, this playfulness about him, because he really was a fun guy when you got to know him, right? On his exterior, he was gruff, angry looking. He had one green eye and one blue eye, and his baritone voice where he spoke like this, right? And it's not contrived or anything. That's who he is, right? That's how his demeanor is, right? But once you get past that tough exterior, he's a softy. He's a really compassionate, caring man, and he loves his friends. He loves his family. That's the guy I knew, right? So when I pick up this big rock, this huge rock about this big, maybe 5 inches long, 4 inches wide, flat, and roughened on the edges, he says, I'm going to tell somebody to take it back. You know what that means, right? We're on the shoe yard. You go through strip searches, the whole 9 yards. That means they have to keister it. They have to insert it in the body cavity, right? And we know which body cavity we're speaking of, in the rectum. And I said, what? And he says, yeah, I'm gonna mess around with this camarada right now, and I'm gonna tell him to take it back. So we all start chuckling, right? Because it seems funny. Like, there's no way you're gonna get that thing up there, right? Number one, he doesn't have any wrapping for it. Number two, there's no loop for it. And he calls over this camarada, just picks one guy out of the crowd that's walking the yard, and he calls him over, and he comes over and says, hey, come over here. And he says, stand next to me. And he says, I'm going to pass you something right now. And he really, really slickly, like, cups it and hands it to him, and the guy gets it, and he feels it. You can see the look on his face. He says, I want you to take that back for us. And the guy looks at him, and you can see his eyes. His eyes just went poof, like that, big old 50-cent pieces. He says, what? He says, yeah, we're going to need to sharpen fierros with. And the guy asks, you want me to take it back? He says, yeah. He says, why don't you take it back today? And you could see the trepidation in his face, like, oh my God, I got to stick this thing up there, you know? And I was just trying to hold it back, man, because I wanted to bust out laughing. I don't even think I was a carnal yet. But here was Huero Shy joking around with another camarada, kind of cruelly, but the camarada looks down and says, all right, he's resigned to the fact that our carnada's asking him to do a favor, right, and take this back so they can sharpen knives. And he puts his head down like, okay, I'll do it. And Black Dan couldn't handle it anymore. He said, no, no, no. He just said, no, we're just joking with you, man. And you could see the relief just pour over this guy, right? But it was one of those little jokes that he pulled that made him funny, right? It made him, we all started laughing, and the camarada just looked at us and threw the rock down and started laughing with us. And it was funny. It was a really funny thing, right? Like, picture a grown man being handed a rough rock, about 5 inches long, about 4 inches wide, that's flattened and rough on the edge, with no plastic, no lube, and he's being told, hey, put this there, take it back. And it was hilarious. But he was a good dude, man. He was, in 1988, I recall, he picked me up from the Los Angeles County Jail after I did a violation. It was about 3 in the morning. He took me to breakfast. We went to the Hazard Projects with Rocky, Luna, and we slammed, we got high there. And I was always at his house. He lived in Glassell Park. He lived with a girl named Rhea at the time. But he controlled El Monte. That's the whole thing. He controlled El Monte, California. And even though he controlled El Monte, lived in Glassell Park and frequented the neighborhood and came to my house, and I went to his house, we became good friends. He met my family. I met his family. I met his children. He met my children. He knew my mother and father. I corresponded with his mom, Jean. And I remember he had a brother named Norman. And he was loved by his family. I know that's hard to believe for some people, that a man that's been involved for over 40 years in the organization can still be so loved and still have that love in his heart. But there was one call I did in working a case called Black Flower, where he spoke so lovingly to his daughter that I said, there's no doubt in my mind that he loves her with every fiber of his being. I'm going to run that call for you right now so you can hear the tone and happiness in his voice when he speaks to his daughter finally after she was released from prison. I'll run that call now.
Hello.
You have a prepaid call. You will not
Oh my God!
call. This call is from
Oh, I'm gonna cry. Griffiths.
a federal prison. Hang up to decline the call or to accept. Dial 5 now. If you wish to...
Hello.
Dad.
Hey, baby girl, what you doing?
Nothing. I'm at my little brother's football game.
Man, the phone sounds funny. I hope it don't cut out on us, man.
No, I got good reception in here.
Huh?
I have good reception in here.
Oh, yeah? Because you sound a little garbly, man, like it's, you know, anyway. if it goes off, it goes off. I just have to call you next month, you know.
I love you, Dad.
I love you so much, my baby. I miss you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I haven't got any.
That's all I'll play of that call. But you hear the adoration in his voice for his daughter. And that's Rene he's talking to, his daughter Rene. He has another daughter named Catalina, I think. But it's unfortunate that his daughter passed away. The exact date is July 1st, 2004, in Riverside County. They discovered her unresponsive, and she passed away as a result of a fentanyl overdose. So I'd like to express my condolences to him and the family, all the surviving friends. I know that was a devastating blow, and it's heartfelt. You know, it's heartfelt that a parent loses a child. It's not an easy thing to do. But Shy's life has never been easy. And he's always faced adversity even in the organization as a young member. Some of his early murders, I mean, he was a glowing star. But what struck me about Huero Shy was that he had to be more Mexican than even the Mexicans. He spoke Spanish better than me, and that's not a hard thing to do, right? But he spoke perfect Spanish, and he had the heart of a Mexican. He was actually, I believe, Cherokee. And I think he's part Polish. But he always say, I have that blood in me, but my heart is Mexicano. He told me that before. And I remembered that. And I remembered that him and Joe spoke perfect Spanish, right? Him and Joe Morgan, right? And that they were very close. Maybe it was because of their ethnicity, and they realized that they're white guys in the Mexican Mafia, right? And two well-respected, well-known white guys at that, right? But Shy mainly controlled El Monte, California. And he had faced adversities there, too. I mean, he was married to a woman named Bunny. And she had kids from El Monte. One of the sons his stepsons was eliminated as a result of gang violence. And I remember that incident where he wanted to put some people on the green light list, and I think he did. But his control of that area came under question. During Operation Black Flower, there was a girl named Michelle Cortez, also known as Bernadette, who was corresponding with him. That was his goddaughter. And she corresponded with him. In fact, there's one letter in particular that got her indicted in this case, which said specifically, can I establish my way in this city with your guidance? That in and of itself is informal gang code where a person utilizes a form of communication which is coded, but the person receiving it would be predisposed to understand its meaning. In other words, I'm going to write something, and you're going to understand what I'm saying by what I'm writing. There's no algorithm to convert like plain text into ciphertext. It's not a cipher. It's code. Code is typically a group of words or word that has specific meaning. So this letter was received and interpreted, and she was indicted and convicted on this case. So you'll see here, this is Dimples from Flores. This is Michelle Cortez. This is the woman that was Huero Shy Shryock's goddaughter. And she was working for him, collecting money while he was indicted in 1995 on Raymond Shryock versus the United States, or United States versus Raymond Shryock. The case is also known as United States versus Alex Aguirre et al. This is when 13 members were indicted in the first United States utilization of the RICO statute against the Mexican Mafia. So after Michelle's release, and not too recent past, her stepsister, or half-sister really, was murdered at Zamora Park, and individuals who then walked up behind her, boom, 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 point blank, back of the head. She fell to the ground. Who happened to be there standing next to her? Raymond's daughter, Rene. Another individual was wounded in the leg as well. It was a male. The individual the perpetrator, the shooter, ran off after that, never to be arrested. Here's another call where they're talking about Dimples, Michelle Cortez, prior to this occurring. This is Cholo Mora talking to a woman about Dimples in Flores, who is asking to be paid taxes on behalf of Shy. Let's listen to that call now.
Bucia.
Hey, ¿qué pasó?
¿Qué pasó? How you doing?
All right, what's up, Janet?
Hey, why, the people from SGV, they're saying that whoever's making money in here, we gotta pay taxes. They got it from, the pay.
Who said this?
Dimples from fucking, Flores.
No.
That's supposed they got legal mail from somebody in the Bay, and that, the people who are making money in here, that they gotta pay taxes.
Oh, no, I haven't heard nothing like that. Tell them to give you the number so I can talk to them.
Okay, like,
Yeah, get the number.
What do you mean?
Huh?
Like, I said, I ain't paying a motherfucking thing. What the fuck do she fucking mean? Go tax the fucking mayasas. They fucking making thousands.
Who told you this, though? Who told you this?
Una, la Dimples from Florence. For Flores, I mean.
Dile que te den los números de la persona con la que tengo que hablar y yo hablo con ella.
Okay. Yeah, because that's bullshit. Like, bitch, who the, like, if they...
Yeah, just give it the number. I don't want to talk on the phones, all that stupid shit. Just give whoever number and I'll call them and I'll take care of it.
So, that's Cholo Mora speaking to a girl named Janet about Dimples, the individual who corresponded with Shy, who was indicted in Operation Black Flower. And this investigation was actually an extortion of a marijuana dispensary. One of the viewers corrected me. I was calling it a distribution clinic, and they said it's called dispensary. So, yeah, they were extorting a dispensary, and this call was intercepted. Speaking about Dimples, the woman who is the goddaughter of Huero Shy. So, I say this because at the park, at Zamora Park in El Monte, California, on April 20th, 2025, at approximately 3:30 a.m., Stephanie Najera was shot multiple times. That's the incident I described where an individual walks up, boom, 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 back of the head, takes off running. Another male who's standing next to Shy's daughter, Rene, at that crime scene is also hit. Stephanie Najera expires on the scene. And the tie here is that she was the half-sister of Dimples and continued collecting money in El Monte for Shy. That's the belief. Additionally, there was a big push by an individual by the name of Bala from Pomona, who is in Mexico. There was an attempt by the State brothers to take control of Flores from Shy. And Shy resisted. Like, no, I'm not giving up anything. I've been there. That's my area, and that's it. And this may be a direct result of that. That's the belief. So Shy has always faced adversity through the politics in the organization, through Bebito, through Kilroy. Right now he's battling with younger members in the organization. He's considered to be the commissioner in the Mexican Mafia for the feds because they've always had a standing commission. It was Champ Reynoso, Willie Bobo, and Jesse Segura in the past. But as a result of two of those individuals paroling and Champ dying, Shy became the senior member. But there are younger members like Puppet Martinez and possibly Cricket Jackson. There was a good protege, a really close protege to Champ Reynoso. Cricket Jackson is Cricket from Big Hazard, who is believed to potentially fill Champ's shoes. But I believe that none of them have the standing that Huero Shy has. Huero Shy has more murders than any of them. He's dedicated to the organization. He's a 40-year member. But there's a generational gap, and that's what he's facing, is a generational gap in the organization. So he's never had it easy. And he's never complained about it. that was the thing about Huero Shy. He never complained. He never got worried. He never became overly preoccupied with the political situations. He just withstood. And it's something that I always admired him for. I remember in Folsom where he told Bebito straight out, I know you don't like me. You haven't liked me since San Quentin. And Bebito denied it. He denied it, even though he was politicking on Shy. He says, I know you don't like me. And he was okay with that. And it's just the fortitude of the man that I admired. Like I said, he was a real friend. And he became close with Chuy as well. Chuy Mariano Martinez, they were up in Florence together. And he had some close friends. And that's one of the brothers who still believe in friendship. And for me, that stood out. Because in an organization that I was left in, after all my friends, and some of the viewers got it right. They said, well, he left after all his support went to the feds. That's when I dropped out. I had no more friends in the organization. They were all adversaries. Even my friends were my adversaries. And I knew that. But with Shy and Chuy and guys like that, Black Dan Barella, those are real friends. Those are people who stood by you till the end. And as long as you weren't a rat, coward, or homosexual, you're all right. And that's how I felt around him. And that's how he made those that he cared for feel. And that's the one thing I remember about Raymond Shryock. And I know this might be counterintuitive, that even though he's sworn to eliminate me when he has the chance, and there's no doubt in my mind he would do that, I still love the guy. He's still my friend. I still pray for him. I still pray for some of the guys that I hold near and dear to my heart, because I don't wish them ill. Even though they wish it upon me, it doesn't make any difference. I still appreciated who they were when they were my friends. So I wanted to do this piece on Shy and give you just a different perspective of what he's faced and what he's went through and what he must be going through now after losing his daughter. And he's still there. It's my belief that he'll never leave the organization, that Shy will never drop out. He's going to go out on a shield, however that is, through natural causes or by elimination. And he's willing to accept that. He's made his mind up in that. He has nothing else. He's known nothing else but to be a carnal. And he is a true carnal. He's not one of these new age guys, one of the Edgar generation. He's an old mustache Pete. He earned his bones the hard way. And he's going to go out the hard way. And he's okay with that. And I think that's admirable for who he is. But like I said, I mean, if that's your end of the rainbow, if that's your bucket of gold at the end of the rainbow, then be all you can be, brother. And I thought I'd just give you that different perspective on Shy. I didn't want to give you dates of his birth date, where he was born, all those things. I just wanted to talk about the man, some of the things he's faced, and some of the things he's facing now. And even with all those adversities, being sent from Victorville, USP Victorville, back to the ADX after the incident with the MS guys, he's still standing strong. And I tip my hat. Tip my hat to my old friend. That's an inside perspective on Raymond Shryock, Huero Shy Shryock from Marta. Maybe some of the things you didn't know about him. And maybe you'll think about him a little differently now. All right, folks, that does it for this episode and the profile on Shy. As always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that hype button, share this video with a friend. Until next time, peace out.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Boots.